Sean. Here's the thought experiment that I figured I'd try to do in 5 minutes. So I wanted to figure out how to convey an obscene amount of value in just 5 minutes. And the way I framed it was, if I could go back in time 20 years ago and spend 5 minutes with my former self to convey anything, what would give me the biggest edge? Like, what 3 things could I learn and study? And I figured that would be a really good way to frame this experiment. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to teach you these things. Don't worry, they're not scary. If they seem scary, I will demystify them. But here's why I think these are really powerful, what I would call force multipliers, because they give you, basically think like if you wanted to upgrade yourself, if you could give yourself, like think of yourself as a computer, like what are you going to do? You're going to improve your CPU and your memory and your hard disk and all these things. Like, so literally that's what these 3 things do. Mental models help you basically like supercharge your ability to process and synthesize thought and come up with novel thoughts. Spaced repetition helps you commit things to memory and thereby strengthening your memory. And Nocode is basically a way of authoring software without knowing how to write code. And so I'm going to show you these 3 things as best I can in 5 minutes, which will give me a chunk. But just here's maybe some analogies to help these things sink in. Mental models are to thought what design patterns are to architecture, right? So there's a reason why like doors exist in pretty much the same form all around the world, and windows and arches and these like patterns in design exist because they work. And so mental models are basically the equivalent here of thought. Basically reasoning, like Lego blocks of patterns that work in reality. Spaced repetition is to memory as basically a personal trainer is to fitness. And so this is like a very attuned way to learn things that basically focus on your ability to grasp a subject matter, and it will train you, and it will like increase the frequency of training until you get it right, and then it will decrease. And then Nocode is basically just a platform to build software. Nocode is apps what self-publishing is to books, basically. The ability to take charge of your own destiny, to not just be a consumer. I think everyone here, we probably all use applications, I'm guessing. But how many of us actually create applications? And so imagine if we lower that bar so low that it's as easy to make an application as it is to drag and drop and make like a Word document. So that's the goal here. So on the subject of mental models, this is the best thing I can recommend to you. It's a book. This is the founder of the DuckDuckGo search engine. So I would argue that he made 2 fantastic contributions to humanity, that being privacy and then this one in terms of understanding mental models. And basically they were saying the idea was just to be wrong less often, and as well to be able to more quickly make sense of novel situations, right? And so I think this stuff is really abstract until you actually get into it, so let's just take a few examples. So Parkinson's law states that work will expand to fill the volume that you allot to it, kind of like physics, like liquid will expand to fill the volume that it's contained. It's the exact same concept. I became intimately aware of this while traveling as a part of this remote year program. I had a job, I was doing 2 roles, 12-hour days, obscene amount of work, and then I switched to just basically being all over the world, and I only had like 6 hours max in the day. And I was able to cram and make all that happen. Basically, those constraints forced me to become super efficient. And I actually doubled the revenue of the company while I was doing that. And so to the point where Inc. magazine ended up writing an article about it. So this stuff works. That's an example of Parkinson's law. But I use the Pareto principle. It's another mental model. You know it probably as the 80-20 rule, right? Like 80% of the results are generated by 20% of the stakeholders. Another example, sunk cost fallacy, is this idea of like, don't throw good money after bad. Basically, we get invested in things and we refuse to acknowledge that it's just time to cut bait and run, and instead we like continue to invest in things because we have invested in them in the past. So those are some examples of mental models. I figured what I would do is actually show you the software that I use to internalize this stuff, and this is something called Anki. Just quickly show it to you. It's on mobile, it's also on desktop, but like it's basically flashcards, and these are special flashcards. In that they give you a topic, you can then review it and you say that was easy, that was hard, and then based on your responses there, it will change the frequency at which you see those going forward. And so these work for everything. I'm using it also to learn Portuguese, but yeah, it's really powerful. So they do audio as well too, they're multimedia, but it's a super powerful concept, and if you're trying to learn anything, I can highly recommend this app. And I can also give you all these mental models if anyone wants them, I can give it to you. Do I still have 1 minute, or is that?
Yeah, it's around,
okay.
yeah, 1 minute.
All right, so with the remaining minute, I'll talk about the last thing, which is Nocode. So does anyone know Naval Ravikant?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's one of my heroes. He did an AMA. I asked him this question on Twitter. You guys, I still get retweets and likes on this one answer that I see, and it's his answer to my question of like, what has given you the most leverage in life was products and code. And so imagine if, you know, that sounds great, but he had a whole team of people that he was able to write software for him. But like, I'm saying that Nocode gives you the ability to lower the bar, you guys. Like these are all different tools. I use this one in particular. I actually started this group. We have our first meeting next week, and I have one of the foremost teachers on Bubble, which is the application that I use to build this, which is my main thing right now, Problematic. I'm not a developer, but I'm able to build an entire application using Nocode. That's how powerful it is. It's all drag and drop. And so yeah, so I'm here to tell you this is a game changer, you guys. Like, if Naval is right, and that code and products are the most high leverage thing that has helped him become as successful as he has, this is a way that it brings it accessible to all of us to do that.
Okay, it's fun.
Cheers.
Okay.
No, there's a lot. Yeah.
So we're talking about design patterns and the designs that were, or architectures that has been tried and tested before and that was right. But what if it's wrong?
Give me an example.
Like there's, let's say, culture habits or something. That's all we can put under design patterns. And some of them we have moved forward from them because they were wrong. But if we take to them as tried and tested, then we will be stuck in the past.
Yeah, I mean, so they will, if they don't work, then they won't work, I guess, is my response to that. Like, if you use a pattern which then is proven to be wrong and you continue to use it, then it's kind of like that sunk cost fallacy. Like, you will eventually find out that you're throwing good money after bad, so to speak, and be proven wrong. So I guess I don't know how, I'm not sure how to respond to the question. Because, like, if it doesn't work, it won't work, so you'll eventually figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you think that no-code platforms are the sign of the end for front-end developers?
I don't. I think it's a shifting role. Like if I was a developer back in the day. Like I did 8 years as a coder way back in the day, and I'm a terrible coder by the way. I think it just shifts it takes all the boring plumbing, like redundant work that we do to create like the UI of an application, and it just basically offloads that to a tool which does that for us. And so like if you're a developer, I think your job just gets wildly more interesting because you get to focus on the truly interesting problems and ignore the kind of plumbing. Yeah.
Do you know GitHub Copilot?
Sorry?
Do you know GitHub Copilot?
I've not used it, but I know what it is. It's, so for the people who don't know, GitHub Copilot, it's called. It's like a machine learning tool that basically ingested all this code that people have written, and it is kind of like pair programming, as I understand it. You write, and then it gives you suggestions of how to complete code that you're writing. I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. It describes exactly the function, and you just write the code automatically.
Right.
So it's like machine do that, and you just like write the code.
Right. I mean, so that still involves code. Like, it still requires that you're comfortable enough to, work with a terminal and code and whatnot.
No, it's text to code.
Right, but you're still typing out code. It's completing it for you. Like, so Bubble is very drag and drop. There is no code yet. Like behind the scenes, it's generating code, but you never see it. So. Yeah.
What is problematic?
So yeah, that's my current thing. It's a passion project, but it's basically the premise that we can crowdsource solutions to the world problems. Like we have all the resources we need at this point to solve every major world problem, and it's just a coordination issue. And yeah, and I would encourage anyone who is interested in that kind of thing, take a look. I'm literally rolling out features as we speak. So like yesterday I deployed the ability to see all the projects that exist, all the needs of those projects, and they're all coded by skill set required, problem area that they solve. You can filter and see how you plug in. I will just continue to deploy features, and this is what Nocode allows you to do. It's like, if I was hiring someone to do this, it would be like, a 3-week release cycle to convey that vision to the developer, have them type it up, fix all the things, blah, blah, blah. No code, I'm literally like deploying features daily.